then I'll let you know. Oh, look at that. It's live on YouTube now. It worked.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Ashita.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
I am. I almost talked over. I need a new, hold on, folks, I need a new chair. I'm gonna end up on the floor. Oh. Okay. Interesting meeting so far. Can I do the call to order? Time is 7:22 on Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. I'd like to call this Active Transportation and Traffic Safety Advisory Committee meeting to order. The land acknowledgement, the town of Aurora acknowledges that Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work as a traditional and treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation community to Aurora, we recognize the special relationship the Chippewas have with lands and waters of this territory. They are water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas and Chippewas, recognized through Treaty 13, as well as the Williams Treaties of 1923. A shared understanding of the rich cultural heritage that existed for centuries and how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. Let it be. We have approval of the agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda as circulated. We have two gentlemen at the table who are going to do that. Okay, all those in favor? Thank you very much. I forgot. Are there any questions or comments? We've already done all this in favor. If there's any questions or comments, can you please ask it under new business? Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on. Receipt of the minutes from January 22nd, 2025. Could I have a motion to receive the minutes? Who's online? Who was there? Heidi?
Yes.
Thank you, Heidi. Anybody else there? I can't see. Okay. All those in favor? We have no delegations. We do have matters for consideration. We do have the memorandum from the transportation. Are you just transportation and traffic analyst? Request for traffic calming measures on two streets, Heathwood Heights and McClenny Drive. Could I have a mover and seconder to put these on the floor for discussion? Thank you. Do you want to go again?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion is on the floor. We have the information in our report. We have the traffic analyst at the table with us. Thank you very much. I'm missing something.
No, I was just pointing at it when you said it. That's all.
Michael?
Yeah.
Nothing, Michael. Sorry. It's wonderful. I really enjoyed it. Okay, and we have Matthew Valpoltesta on screen. You know what, Matthew? At some point I will be able to pronounce your name correctly. My apology. Matthew is the manager of Parks and Fleet. Would you like to give a presentation?
Yeah, I'll
Thank
just
you.
give a brief overview of the memorandum. Staff completed a traffic calming warrant analysis at two locations, as you mentioned, Heathwood Heights and McClenny Drive. And we outlined on table 1. The technical thresholds regarding speed and minimum traffic volumes were not met at both of those subject locations. So based on the requirements outlined in our traffic calming policy, traffic calming measures are not warranted at those locations.
Thank you. Heidi, could you, and Matthew, could you hear that clearly?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Thank you for, we do have the analysis. Are there any comments to this? Heidi?
I have a question. I was wondering what times of the day staff was there to make observations of vehicular movement in these areas?
So we hire a contractor to undertake the data collection for a period of 7 days. So 7 24-hour periods in a row. So the speeds and the volumes that are shown here are average spanning those 7 days. So it's a good sample data set to base the analysis upon. And we collect both speed and vehicle data. And the thresholds that that must be met are 50 kilometers over the posted speed limit with regards to 85th percentile speeds, and minimum traffic volumes, two-way volumes of over 1,500 vehicles.
Thank you. I just asked that because just in my experience, often, and I'm not suggesting this is the case in every situation here, but a lot of the people that, one thing is often people perceive vehicles to be traveling faster than what they actually are. So, I mean, that speaks to itself in the analysis, but a lot of the people that might be traveling quickly through that area are often the residents within that area. So that in itself, we found, or I found in my experience, in my previous career, to be true. So I don't know if we've done anything else, like had, increased officer presence, or even get the community-oriented response to put a speed board out, just so people are aware that, hey, I'm actually traveling probably faster than I should be, right? Because it's an opportunity to educate as well, I think, and that's just my thoughts.
Thank you, Heidi. That's great. I know you have a lot of experience, and a speed board, I think it is a bit of surprise to people sometimes when they see how fast they're going. So is that something we could do?
Yeah, so we're currently looking into renewing our speed board program. We used to have them in the town previously. They've all surpassed their life cycles.
Okay.
The ones that are out there, there used to be one on John West Way, just north of us, just not operating because it's past its life cycle. So we're looking to bring that back. We're in sort of the early stages of what that could look like, but we're discussing whether we could have 2 per ward on a rotational basis. But it's in early stages, but we are looking into it.
So I'm assuming that this is a budget item, and there's no money in this 2025 budget for that?
Not in this year's, but in the upcoming years.
Are they expensive?
They are cheap, actually. I don't want to speak on the final cost yet, but they're each of them cost. We can't have a number, but we're looking at.
I'm sorry, do you have any kind of idea to understand?
Just on the hardware themselves, they're probably $5,000 to $7,000 for each range. And then you have there's costs of rotating them throughout the locations, because you just can't have them everywhere. And if you want data subscription, that's another additional couple $1,000 per year per location. So we're potentially looking at foregoing that data subscription. But
Are they split at the beginning?
Yeah, because, you know, I don't know what you got in the last election. Everybody's talking about the cars that are speeding and safety.
We're hearing a lot of requests for these types of speed boards, radar boards, so
Yeah.
we're looking into.
Sorry, can I speak? So the speed boards are a good idea. Put them, if you have the temporary ones to put in rotation, you get the solar ones, run off the batteries, so you don't need the hook to power, so you can temporarily move them.
Yeah.
Those are good and they're effective because they warn the motorists that they're flashing more than that they're speeding.
Right.
Can I speak about this as well? I actually agree with you in terms of your findings. If you look at the two streets in question, Heathwood and McClenny Drive, both are outside of school zones, both are residential roads. They meet less than half of the minimum on the traffic count. So, I mean, it just doesn't warrant any speed calming measures.
Thank you for that comment. Yes.
My comment is, you know, and again, I support what exactly what Owen noted, but from a funding source of these information signs, we are moving forward with the community safety zones, and I know you're going to be collecting fees, so similar to what York Region does, that money should be put back in as a budget item in terms of whatever you collect should be going towards this outside. So I don't know if that's something that, you know, you guys can make a recommendation, because again, the intent, you know, you want to educate, and you know, you're gonna, I think putting the signs up is going to be important. In my experience, typically it's the residents speeding early morning, getting kids to school, or us rushing to work. I looked at where this is and I'm like, okay, so from a funding aspect, and we again using community safety, I don't know how much revenue you're gonna generate with that, but you know, typically high initially, and then you know, will peter down once people know where it is and where the cameras, unless you're gonna be rotating them, you know, and not knowing. But I'll leave it at that. So what you have proposed, I'm in total agreement with Owen, you know, it's not warranted.
Could I ask, I'll let you finish writing.
Yeah.
So when are we going to have the community safety zones around schools?
So just the other day, operations confirmed that they've finished installing the signage for the 20 or so new community safety zones. So they're already established.
Are they operational?
And if you're talking about automated speed enforcement,
Yes.
cameras,
Yes, sorry.
so that we're in the early stages as well. We've sort of been in communications with the vendor for those cameras. So we're having a discussion about what kind of program fits the town best, and we will be looking to have to present sort of a report to council regarding a pilot program.
So we're ways away from having money coming from that program to this.
A little bit, but it's
Not too.
So can I add, I know other municipalities have already implemented the program. I would suggest that you touch bases, you know, again, always lessons learned rather than going out and seeing how they implemented them and some of the issues, because I know there are different issues within different local councils. But I know that municipalities have already implemented it. So you know, again, just look. We're not reinventing the wheel. Just take from whether it's Markham, Vaughan. I don't know if Newmarket's implemented.
yeah.
All right, and then just follow. We should be consistent with it. And again, I know you guys are going to tweak it. Again, and I'll let you have that discussion with your counterparts at the other municipalities.
Right, we want to make sure whatever program meets the town's needs. So, but we do recognize that there's the trail's been sort of placed, so we've been communicating with our counterparts as well.
Thank you. Yeah, they're just everywhere, seeming to be everywhere now.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you, to you, The temporary speed boards you're talking about,
Yes.
that's different than what you're talking about?
So the
So,
radar speed boards, those they just display the motor speed.
right,
They don't capture, they don't send speed tickets to driver.
I think if you go really fast, you really flash to kind of put you out there and if you're going, I'm not sure, right?
Well-
I'm not sure about the technology, right? The faster you go, the faster it flashes.
Yeah.
Right?
if we're educating,
Yes, it's a more an educational tool than a more.
and they're less expensive, I mean, maybe we need to have some of each, because the next budget, but December, and then
I don't think it's gonna be a one or the other deal. I think we're
it's
just
gonna be both.
Excellent.
Excuse me. I was just in
Yeah.
Quebec and they have these, these portable ones that you see in the region and they move them around, right? In accordance with, yeah. But there they have like it flashes red when you're speeding. And then when you go the speed limit, there's a big green smiley face up, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, actually, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was
Good job, maybe a thumbs up.
And I wasn't driving, by the way. It wasn't me speeding, but yeah, it was really interesting. Every time you came into the town, like they had it, and it definitely made an impact. So I don't know. I mean, I just think it's a really good idea. The portability is fantastic because you can move it around in response to communities' concerns as well, right?
right.
A lot of the community's concerns were internal too, like people, exactly what you said, they don't even realize sometimes their speed. I hate to say it, but the majority of vehicles in Aurora are SUVs and sometimes, you put your foot to the pedal, you don't even know you're going.
Yes.
60, and this is some of the issues, and I know you guys are proceeding with speed cushions, like, oh, they don't do anything. I mean, they're nice, but it's expensive. And, it's
too high, it's too low.
and I'll leave it at that, it's.
Okay, you leave it. So, Michael, may I ask that when you bring the report to council, you also include what Heidi's talking about? Because that sounds like a much cheaper solution if we're educating. And there's definitely a place for signs like that. Okay, so, we've already did the mover and the seconder. Are there any more input into this?
No, as it relates to this item.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Chair. So, all those in favor?
Sorry.
It's fine. Some committees are just way too serious. Okay. So, speaking of serious, we are now going on to our next item. It's called an informational item. Memorandum from Manager of Parks and Fleets, which would be you, Matthew. Did you want to, I need a mover and a seconder to put this on the floor. Thank you, Owen. Thank you. The gentlemen are weighing in here.
No one.
The gentleman and Owen, the gentleman. Okay, so, Matthew, would you like to give us your presentation?
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. I don't have a formal presentation.
Okay.
I can quickly review the report. So essentially this was a request for staff to take a look at this connection between AFLC and the senior center. So we did a bit of due diligence with our operations staff, with our legal team. We spoke to the members of the Arboretum community group and put a recommendation together to council that does not endorse winter maintenance for this section of trail. Those reasons are pretty explicit in the report, mainly due to environmental concerns, some infrastructure concerns, and then additionally, neither of the requirements for winter maintenance under the operational services roads department are met. And we do not typically maintain any trails from the parks perspective as well. So our recommendation is to not maintain this section of trail. We have the support of LSRCA and the community Arboretum group were very strongly opposed as well, just due to the nature of salt. And essentially, when you add this type of maintenance, there's no kind of in-between model. You have to maintain it the way you would a primary or secondary sidewalk for winter maintenance, which is copious amounts of salt because this is in floodplain. That would be detrimental to the environment. And so we could not support it. There's also a bridge that's not set up for plowing, not set up, it's not capable to be plowed over, so there'd be some infrastructure changes required. And yeah, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Matt, I just want to say I read through the memorandum. I thought from my perspective, it's very thorough and I think it's pretty clear. Obviously, it shouldn't be the town responsibility to clear that area. So I actually agree with your findings from my perspective.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you. Steve is not here tonight and I think he's the one that brought this forward. And, it would be nice to have if we could find an alternative to the salt. But, no. Mr. Heritage says no. But yeah, it's a whole different service level. There are so many issues with this and we can't do it. Staff says that and I agree with staff. And apparently the committee agrees with that as well. Yes, I see Heidi nodding as well. Okay, so let's have anything else? Let's have it all in favor. That carries. Is there any new business? What am I missing anything? Yes. Do you have new business?
I have new business.
You may go.
Young Street, I know. So Young Street, MUP/sidewalk. I know we had made some recommendations and I know I sent a very detailed email back to you. Just wondering on the status of it, if the intentions to you still going out, any input, any updates, really what the York region has really advised on it. And I tried to share some of the things in my email about how to build it. Built enough of them, to give you some commentary. I think we had agreed when we looked at it that we recommended an MUP on the.
This is the south end of Young Street.
Yes, of Young Street from Bloomington to the, what did I say, go up to?
Just before the Go Bridge.
Right, we said to extend it on the west side, we said originally, we looked at it really I think we had originally. So
the slope on the
the east side. Sorry,
along the cemetery, the
east side, you could maybe sneak it in, but there's issues with the cemetery and retaining. Again, this is where we get into jurisdiction. What's the region going to? Because they're responsible for the platform. So I'll leave it at that, just an update on the pro. Is it gonna come back to us? What are you guys thinking?
We're proposing to have the west side of the UP and the east side sidewalk, and we've had discussions with the region as well on their input. And it's an ongoing discussion, but mainly who's preparing the design for us has completed a draft 60% design, and we intend to bring it back as the committee mentioned last time around that they want to see it again. So we're going to have another pick to present it back to the committee once the 60% is finalized. And we're just in the middle of the process for sort of wrapping that up. But we have a workshop and then we're going to finalize it and bring it back for.
So I read that was in the minutes, and I read that at the council meeting, and that was agreed. But I also mentioned, didn't we want a public
another public open house as well, or another public?
Yes, public information center, yes.
Is that going to happen?
Have a board for the committee to, participate. Have their input,
Through the committee?
We're gonna,
You're gonna present to the committee, but there's not gonna be, a public.
I think the form of the meeting has not been finalized, so I don't wanna speak on that yet, but,
Okay, because we did ask for that.
yeah, whether that be virtual or personal, is sort of looking into, but,
It's a huge project, a lot of money, whether you pay it through our taxes or the region, and I think the public should have.
So sorry,
The population density has increased since the
That's right.
the complexes have gone in there, so.
I think there's a disconnect. The rail corridor, I've said this and it's at any town or city.
Yeah.
Is that rail corridor split communities, okay? It typically split communities. And, this part of Aurora just seems to be, I always said it should go up there and you need that clear connection, right? And again, it also ties in to some of the Metrolinx work because originally Metrolinx was going to be, and I think still, they planned to do the bridge work and the intent was, okay, I know the region came in looking at the BRT and, making sure to protect for that. And I looked at this as being one of those areas where it's gonna be constrained and, the money to kind of take out the old bridge, which looks in great shape now. I think we leave what width we have and we make it work do with what it is. You can't have a bus exclusively. If we do, if we ever get, I'll be gone far, but if we ever get a light rapid transit system on Yonge Street, from the subway that I'm working on all the way up to Newmarket, we'll have to look at it at that time. But I know there were issues with the Metrolinx works and what was proposed, because I know it went back and forth between the town and the region, who was gonna pay for that connection, because again, they were basing it on the original design, what they envisioned for the bus rapid transit system. So the sidewalk you said is on the east side. Is it the full length or you're just gonna do that little stretch? Do you intend to do the full length?
right to industrial, south Rail corridor, so, we're trying to make everyone happier. Within that.
The issue was on that side because we were putting it on the west side. The sidewalk is on the east side under the bridge. So you would have to cross the road. There was no connection to that sidewalk, and that was the piece we were talking about.
Yeah, the connection on the bridge was a common sort of feedback, but our scope unfortunately it was just.
Ended just before,
there, so, we'll do everything we can within the boundaries of our scope, but outside of that, it's,
You can't extend it, you can't go to council, it doesn't make sense. You're stopping short. I'll leave it up to you guys.
Yes.
So you're just going to industrial, that's it. So basically the MUP that's on the west side will connect, it'll have to cross.
Yeah, and there's
Right.
a crossing right there.
Yeah.
But just south of industrial stuff. And potentially in the future there might be another one for the south, if that's not set, so it's they will be able to cross there, just.
So can I make a recommendation, or at least a suggestion, that if it's out of scope now, that any subsequent project that goes forward, that you include that missing piece as part of the next, we've done that, again, things happen, which I understand it's too late. To me, that makes sense to have something there. You already have something, so to do that connection, put it into another project.
I think that's been heard loud and clear. So any projects, I'm sure that happen in the future, go through there.
Is this going to show in the minutes? And do you want different wording on this? You're good with this?
Yeah, I love it in the report.
So, but when this comes to council, I'm gonna have to speak on that. And is it going to be clear in the minutes that come to council what we're talking about here?
At a high level, yes.
At a high level, yes. Okay.
better speak to you and get a little local in case anybody wants to. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's they call it over. We're trying to use some council more than once. Okay,
I also have one more.
yes, go ahead.
Just, sorry, one more item for Michael. I know, and Steve is not here unfortunately, because I know we talked about, we spent time and effort in implementing the master plan. And I shared with you where I think we need to go in terms of how we inform how we're achieving our goals of what has been moving forward. So I'm curious as to what's being proposed in this year's budget as part of our master plan in terms of implementation. I know you said Henderson, or we're looking at Henderson. Is that the next project that we're going to move forward? Like, do you have any, in the intent we move forward? So this was the issue. Now, and again, I'm going to speak because I was programming lead, my other former life, and I is part of the, it's great to do the master plan, but you got to implement it, right? And it's staged. And I raise the issue saying, okay, there are two restrictions when it comes to implementation: money and resources, all right? And I implement that, right? So I don't know if there's any thought to it, because I know Steve raised it and he's not here, and I'm raising it on his behalf. How do you, I shared it in an email where I think you guys need to go in terms of being able to demonstrate how we're implementing that, because to create the master plan and not implement it, or at least say how are we achieving it every year? What did we do this year? Did we add that half? I know or a little bit smaller, but I think you need to demonstrate, right, what we're doing and what are some of the limitations. So that's my last step.
Yeah, I can circle back to you on various things that with regards to implementation and the recommendations that are provided within the master plan. You're speaking of the active transportation master plan.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
I can circle back with you on that, those stuff.
So, Heidi, were you able to hear this? Were you able to?
Yes, I
Here-
was, sorry. I just had to unmute, sorry.
Oh, no, fantastic. Then this sound system is doing very well. Yeah, that's a good point, and we often miss that part in everything, all of our.
We had like major crossings, and I know when Klaus was here, he was adamant about crossing the rail corridor, and I looked at it and I said, do it now, because once you get to double track, and going under, it's very, like, this is where you have to kind of set your priorities, and again, you're limited by funding, again, let's call a spade, or small, the revenue that you can generate and how you pay for it. And you have to set priorities. I always say, you look at a cost benefit, where's the money better spent, right? We're starting from zero, we don't have, so what are the quick wins? Whether it's line painting, I've always said pavement marking, signage, it's cheap to implement, right? Just to limit, you have issues on Henderson, okay, I don't know, temporarily put bike lanes in as an empty, because I know it's prohibitive to move curb and storm sewer to narrow that and slope down, but
Yes, the bigger ticket stuff, like you said, very long term, and I know we have a slew of short term implementations that are going on, but I wanna just give an accounting sort of list of that, so I can just take that back and get back to you with continuing information on various smaller scope work that I have. So,
what's the program, what do we do? So, what was originally what we put in there, what have we achieved, what's moving forward? Because really this is the time to move forward, and I think everybody's in, moving forward now with their capital budgets and operating budgets for approval, and I think you need to identify the items that we can move forward. Again, it's now into this. You're leading this, and it's important that we try to establish what it is that we're implementing for our next year. What's the next project?
next year and the year after, it's that we're possibly
And take advantage, because again, where I said what we call routine accommodation, if you have road projects that I'm looking for, road rehabilitation or road reconstruction, you take advantage to kind of say, hey, there's economies of scale to be achieved with that. Throwing in what you need to do as part of that work is going to lower the unit cost to implement. Okay, those are strategies that I've implemented, right? To lower costs, because again, standalone typically cost a lot more, but if you implement it, whether with a regional project or within either bigger projects that Aurora has, or bundle it differently, you can get more done for the same dollars.
Yeah.
I think we have a wonderful manager of engineering, Nancy Fleming. She lives in the McClellan area. I think that she has that big picture
Oh, yeah. She's
with
always-
the economies of scale, et cetera. I think maybe we didn't. Well, we did with our roads. I think we did with our underground infrastructure.
She's always carrying on big.
Yeah, but she is quite amazing. So you can pass this. It was a comment from the committee.
Yeah.
But we're going to assume that she's.
One thing that I can tell you, like we're talking about Henderson just in the meeting, and was that we like things, and we've actually applied for federal funding for trying to build that in the 2029 sort of time horizon. So these are things that we're looking at to just one Nancy's discussion.
I have to say, I live off Henderson, and I rarely see anybody walking. I don't think I've ever seen anyone biking.
I saw one lady cross Henderson
At the
today.
light.
Not at the light, at where the trail sort of ends on Henderson, and there's one pedestrian, but you don't see a lot of pedestrians or cyclists.
No, and as part of that project, they wanted to put in a sidewalk in on the south side. Our last wonderful manager of engineering and I decided that. Anyway, okay, so I thought the bike lanes were closer to happening. So that's
We prefer in Boulevard, so just to let you know, it's just.
in Boulevard.
Yes, so we moved away from bike lanes
Yes,
because, again, this was in infancy. We call it, there's different terminology. We call it the cycle track when it's next to the curb, or in Boulevard facility when it's away from the curb. Generally,
Does
just
it make it
basically.
wider if it's in Boulevard?
It makes it safer. People have a sense, because again, you get your kids, do you want your daughter or son cycling on a Henderson?
Okay, no.
And I'm gonna use Henderson, to me is equivalent to Clark in Vaughan, right? Where we narrowed it and we put it in Boulevard. We put a cycle track that we narrowed it, so we had issues with speeding, right? Because the road was really wide for whatever reason.
Yeah.
We narrowed it, but it was not cheap. But again, we got funding to, so I guess just say it, we got funding to be able to do that from the federal government. So do take advantage of those grants because it is out there, but it works. I have to say, I'm proud of participating in that because you see the end result. To me, initially we've seen numbers improve. Like build it, they will come.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm doubtful, but I will. There's a lot of homes in that area, a lot of kids, a lot of school,
We keep on driving them, so.
And there's a
School.
plaza, there's 2 plazas.
Anyway, I leave that to some of the commentary, and I don't know if you have someone who's a program lead in Aurora. I know you deal with traffic, and there may be someone that does, but I think it's important that you be able to demonstrate as we move forward the implementation portion of it. And I know Steve will probably speak to it in the next round meeting, because what's happening with it was his comment, and I shared with you because we're not reinventing the wheel here. Everybody's gone through that, right? And to me, you need to implement it as other projects because it is cost, like anything else, you have your priorities and where do you want to spend limited dollars on and how do you get, so I leave that with you. We're all taxpayers and having, everybody always complaining things are costly, so how do you deliver something on the vision most cost effective way? Yeah, and if you're gonna get signboards, similar, you know, go out and try to get a bundle, a package, so that you can lower the unit cost as opposed to buying one or two. See if you can get a deal for a package of 10 if you're looking for 2 or whatever, 20. I mean, I'll let council decide how important. You know, I don't see the complaints coming in, so I don't know the numbers. If the intent is just to leave it there or move them around every other year, like leave it in there for 2 years and then switch it. Do you have staff? You know, again, you can speak to, do you go move them, right? Are they easily movable? You know, is it a company, right? I mean,
You
ideally,
don't want them easily movable.
well, they'll be up high, unless somebody cuts them down or senior takes them, right?
We can try.
But yeah, Workside Drive, I know that road very well.
Yeah, that brings more. I think like we've been talking to our neighbors in Newmarket and they have that, and according to their data, that efficacy of those radar signboards reduced after 3 to 4 months. So that's sort of the time period that we're
So you
looking
can,
at for now. They may be longer based on because we've been around too often. That's a lot of work for operations.
So it is operations that puts them up and moves them around.
Not confirmed, but tentatively, I think that's where we're looking at.
Okay. I mean, again, if they're gonna be solar, then you have to
That'd be
make sure
great.
there's solar, then whatever, that the sun shines there. Can't be underneath the tree.
Yeah, there's 2 versions. One you can tie into the existing light standard pole. You can get the power off, or you get the solar version. Solar version, if you're gonna move it, then you don't have to worry about power supply.
Yeah, 'cause that's a big. It means that they gotta put plugs in and all the lights.
There's work there.
so,
More cost
More cost.
and time.
Yes.
yeah, okay. I thought this was a really good meeting.
I have one more.
You may.
Sorry, can I just add one more? It's more of a recommendation to the town. There's a study going on right now, landscape, streetscape, design, engineering, design for the downtown core. That is ongoing.
Yes.
It's almost completed. When it's completed, if it pertains to the traffic side or the parking, can we be privy to that within this committee? Just
Yeah.
because it would have some effect to some of the measures in our master traffic plan that we put together. Some of it might offset that, so I'd just like to see that report or have that report shared to this committee.
Is that the streetscaping master plan you guys are looking at?
The promenade.
Yeah.
It's just south of.
That's right, it's the promenade, it's that promenade stretch, yeah.
So
Correct.
that design is underway and
Yes.
it's in progress. So I'll take that back and make sure that that comment is heard.
Would it be, I'm assuming you're gonna have an open house with it, is that
Yeah.
something that
It
you
will
could do to
be.
the public? Maybe we could participate in that.
Yeah, I just,
Yes, we should.
if it takes away or affects the traffic flow and the parking in that area, I just think it would be privy for this committee to be aware of it. And not that we give recommendations, because I think it's already, it's already funded, it's already down the road.
Yeah.
But just so we can get ahead of any issues that
Has
would
the
come
council-
from businesses and
council
residents in that area.
It's not finalized.
No, it's not
It's still ongoing. We're close.
The design, so you've put out the contract for the design. That's what I'm talking, sorry. The design, the engineering firm's already doing the design, and then we'll present it, so that part's being funded.
But then they do it and then we get,
Sorry,
public gets.
is this a study? Is this a feasibility study? Like what is
This
it, what
has
do you,
been
It's a
going on
design,
for,
it's a design of,
a construction, like you're actually
Yes.
doing? Oh, okay, so they're proceeding, this is detailed design, is what you're telling me.
It's design of the promenade, and it's from Wellington, South Wellington
to Percy, church.
It does involve
Where's church, sorry, remind me, is
Right,
that right,
church
Library
is-
Square?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
Are we in a church?
well, I wanna make sure that it ties in, right? I'm sorry, now that to me, Library Square now is our anchor, okay, we need to build on that. You know, and this is where I say, where's money well spent? I originally raised, I said, okay, Library Square needs to tie in to Town Park. Okay, I'm sorry, we need to make an MUP. There's got to be a connection. I've raised that originally as part of the design. Okay, you know, like we did all of this. Okay, you want people, you want to provide alternatives for people to get there, but I almost see that connection and even to go. Like to me, we use the commentary, no brainer. Like this is our heart, right? This is where we need to focus on it. And you build from Library Square. We've spent so much money. How do we now? Everything should start being connecting to it. How do we get people? That's what
Yeah, we tried to do a rerun for the sidewalk. This on Metcalf, on the north side of Metcalf, and we would be endangering several old growth trees. And the mayor put forward that motion, but council decided not to do it. But see, that would have been.
Well, we can pave it, we get to the tree, I don't know, we can put some grinders so the soils, you know, but the problem is
No, it did.
our tree people, I know then you
No,
impact.
it was Chew and the can, you know.
Because I think where the trees where you're talking about, isn't where the other tree fell? I think during one of the storms, one of the trees in that area, I think fell.
No, I don't think on.
I can't remember what street it was. After our big
So
storm
maybe-
and knocked everything out.
Went down.
Wellington and all the rest of the trees that went down.
Yeah. This is like when it's gonna be.
I just think we need to focus there, like that's why I said, okay, you're doing this.
No, it makes sense, but.
There's
Okay.
different phases to this project, and this is the Young Street side, then
Yeah.
we need to look at the town park side.
Okay, so if we're in detailed design, absolutely.
Just for young.
I'm assuming it's gonna be streetscape, like something I've already done, where you do the inlays, you know, the sidewalk, you make it bike friendly, right? Because then you want it to. Gonna see.
You'll see, let's not speculate, let's wait until I just request that we get to see it.
Yeah.
Those finally.
I would just say this has been going on for 15 years. I don't know what. It's expensive.
Nothing's cheap.
And everything has to be repaired and replaced eventually. Okay, well, I think it's time. Oh my goodness, it's 10 after 8. Are you guys?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, it's 10
Any
after.
other comments?
Any other comments?
Nope.
Sorry,
Thank you,
not chair.
Heidi. Thank you, Heidi.
Next time I'll come so I can be part of the action.
I know, yes, it's hard on Zoom. But thank you for coming because we needed the quorum, so.
Yes.
Okay, well then, I'm gonna call for a motion to adjourn. Linda's shaking her head yes. The Jets are doing it again. All those in favor? Great. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.